Is Google working with liberal groups to snuff out conservative websites? By Paula Balliard, August 19, 2017. See below for an important update. Google revealed in a blog post that it is now using machine learning to document hate crimes and events in America. They partnered with liberal groups like ProPublica, BuzzFeed News, and the Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC, to make information about hate events easily accessible to journalists. And now, there are troubling signs that this tool could be used to ferret out writers and websites that run afoul of the progressive orthodoxy. In the announcement, Simon Rogers, data editor of Google News Labs, wrote, "Now, with ProPublica, we are launching a new machine learning tool to help journalists covering hate news leverage this data in their reporting. The Documenting Hate News Index built by the Google News Lab, Data Visualization Studio Pitch Interactive and ProPublica takes a raw feed of Google News articles from the past 6 months and uses the Google Cloud Natural Language API to create a visual tool to help reporters find news happening across the country. It's a constantly updating snapshot of data from this year, one which is valuable as a starting point to reporting on this area of news. The Documenting Hate project launched in response to the lack of national data on hate crimes. While the FBI is required by law to collect data about hate crimes, the data is incomplete because local jurisdictions aren't required to report incidents up to the federal government. All of which underlines the value of the Documenting Hate project, which is powered by a number of different news organizations and journalists who collect and verify reports of hate crimes and events. Documenting Hate is informed by both reports from members of the public and raw Google News data of stories from across the nation. On the surface, this looks rather innocuous. It's presented by Google as an attempt to create a database of hate crimes information that should be available with a quick Google search, it should be noted. But a quick glance at the list of partners for this project should raise some red flags. The ProPublica-led coalition includes the Google News Lab, Univision News, The New York Times, WNYC, BuzzFeed News, First Draft, Medan, New America Media, The Root, Latino USA, The Advocate, 100 Days in Appalachia and Ashahidi. The coalition is also working with civil rights groups such as the Southern Poverty Law Center, and schools such as the University of Miami School of Communications. ProPublica poses as a middle-of-the-road nonprofit journalistic operation, but in reality, it's funded by a stable of uber-liberal donors, including George Soros's Open Society Foundations and Herb and Marion Sandler, billionaire former mortgage bankers whose Golden West Financial Corp allegedly targeted subprime borrowers with pick-a-pay mortgages that led to toxic assets that were blamed for the collapse of Wachovia. The Southern Poverty Law Center, of course, is infamous for targeting legitimate conservatives groups, branding them as hate groups because they refuse to walk in lockstep with the progressive agenda. And it goes without saying that the New York Times and BuzzFeed News lean left. Tech companies begin blacklisting alt-right sites, purging them from the internet. A perusal of the raw data that's been compiled thus far on hate stories shows articles from a wide array of center-right sites, including the Daily Caller, Breitbart News, The Washington Times, National Review, and The Washington Examiner. It also includes many articles from liberal sites like BuzzFeed News and the New York Times. One story from PJ Media's Bridget Johnson is included in the list. It's a report about a Sikh ad campaign aimed at reducing hate crimes against members of their faith community. Many of the articles are simply reports about alleged hate crimes from sources running the gamut of the political spectrum. ProPublica vows to diligently track hate incidents in the coming months. Everyday people, not just avowed white nationalists, intimidate, harass, humiliate, and even harm their fellow Americans because of the color of their skin, how they worship, or who they love. Emphasis added. Note that they're not just focusing on hate crimes. It's easy enough to figure out the direction of this project by taking it for a test drive. A search for Scala's returned 4 results, one of which didn't even mention Steve Scala's, the congressman who was shot by a crazed leftist in June. A search for Trump during the same time period yielded more than 200 results. A search of the raw data resulted in 1178 hits for Trump and not a single mention of Scalise. Note that Google, which recently fired an employee for expressing his counter-progressive opinions, thinks this information could be used to help journalists covering hate news leverage this data in their reporting. What do they mean by leverage this data? They don't say, but an email sent to several conservative writers by a ProPublica reporter may give us some indication. Pamela Geller and Robert Spencer along with some others received this from ProPublica reporter Lauren Kirchner. I am a reporter at ProPublica, a nonprofit investigative newsroom in New York. I am contacting you to let you know that we are including your website in a list of sites that have been designated as hate or extremist by the American Defamation League or the Southern Poverty Law Center. We have identified all the tech platforms that are supporting websites on the ADL and SPLC lists. We would like to ask you a few questions. 1. Do you disagree with the designation of your website as hate or extremist? Why? 2. We identified several tech companies on your website, PayPal, Amazon, Newsmax, and RevContent. Can you confirm that you receive funds from your relationship with those tech companies? How would the loss of those funds affect your operations, and how would you be able to replace them? 3. Have you been shut down by other tech companies for being an alleged hate or extremist website? Which companies? 4. Many people opposed to sites like yours are currently pressuring tech companies to cease their relationships with them. What is your view of this campaign? Why? In other words, nice website you've got there. It would be a shame if anything happened to it. To summarize, liberal ProPublica, working with the smear merchants at SPLC powered by Google, sent a reporter out to issue not-so-veiled threats against conservative websites. It's blatantly obvious that the goal here is to tank websites they disagree with by mounting a campaign to pressure their advertisers and tech providers to drop them as clients. This comes on the heels of Google, GoDaddy, Cloudflare, Apple, and others singling out alt-right sites for destruction in the wake of the Charlottesville riots. Robert Spencer, who also writes for PJ Media, responded to the threat on his Jihad Watch blog. The intent of your questions, and no doubt of your forthcoming article, will be to try to compel these sites to cut off any connection with us based on our opposition to jihad terror. Are you comfortable with what you're enabling? Not only are you inhibiting honest analysis of the nature and magnitude of the jihad threat, but you're aiding the attempt to deny people a platform based on their political views. This could come back to bite you if your own views ever fall out of favor. Have you ever lived in a totalitarian state, where the powerful determine the parameters of the public discourse and cut off all voice from the powerless? Do you really want to live in one now? You might find, once you get there, that it isn't as wonderful as you thought it would be. Spencer has recently criticized Google and the SPLC here at PJ Media for their attempts to squelch dissent, so it's not surprising that they've decided to target him. Only instead of fighting Spencer's words with words of their own, they're lashing out with actions designed to silence him. William A. Jacobson, writing at Legal Insurrection, explained the seriousness of this recent spate of blacklistings. Companies like Cloudflare and others who provide internet infrastructure will come under increasing pressure, and it won't be limited to the storm fronts of the world. We know from history that the hate label is broadly applied for political purposes, and will be used only against right-of-center websites. Being cut off from domain registrars and other aspects of the internet backbone is something we expect from totalitarian governments. Now that power is in the control of almost uniformly left-wing corporate managers. He went on to warn that the threats he highlights have gone way beyond mere politics. They are about our liberty on the street, exercising our free speech rights, accessing the internet to communicate our ideas, and preserving the protections of the First Amendment and free speech, he writes. It's a dangerous time. Robert Spencer wrote, "Authoritarianism in service of any cause leads to a slave society despite the best intentions of those who helped usher it in. We're on a very slippery slope. Be assured that the left won't stop at taking down alt-right sites. They've tasted blood with their recent successes and they won't quit until we are all silenced." Update August 19, 5:43 p.m. ProPublica came out today with the expected hit piece on Richard Spencer, Jihad Watch, and others they disagree with, repeating the Southern Poverty Law Center's smears and legitimizing the dishonest group's hate list. In the article titled "Despite Disavowals, Leading Tech Companies Help Extremist Sites Monetize Hate," Lauren Kirchner along with two fellow journalists activists documented the recent blacklisting of hate websites by tech companies and, although they didn't come right out and say it, strongly implied that this should be the norm. They accept without question the hate designations bestowed by the SPCL and the Anti-Defamation League, ADL. The article leaves no doubt that ProPublica, which is working with Google, remember, wants to see more blacklisting. They will not rest until every one of the names on SPLC's dubious 900-member hate list is purged from the internet. Make no mistake. They are marshalling forces to pressure advertisers and tech providers to take conservative sites down. Just take a look at this list of Christian groups that made the list because they haven't jumped on the LGBTQ bandwagon. ProPublica explained what they're doing with excruciating duplicity under the guise of journalism. We supplemented the SPLC list with a list of top extremist websites provided to us by the Anti-Defamation League. The ADL does not publish this list and supplied it to us for research purposes. Wasn't that super helpful of the ADL? See the list of websites we investigated. Download the data. We located websites associated with the SPLC hate groups and combined it with the ADL's list of hate sites. Because 917 isn't enough, they want more scalps. We then compared the combined SPLC/ADL lists with the Alexa's top million websites and filtered our list to use only websites that had enough traffic to appear in the top million sites worldwide. We then wrote software to automatically browse to each website and collect a list of external domains contacted by each website. In the wake of Charlottesville, some popular white nationalist websites, such as the Daily Stormer, were shut down and we removed them from our list. Others, such as Richard Spencer's National Policy Initiative, were shut down after we finished collecting data, and so we included them in our results. In order to identify which domains loaded advertisements or provided payment forms for the hate sites, and to eliminate domains that only provided basic functionality, we checked the external domains we found on those sites against the ad block easy list. This crowdsourced list is used by ad blocking software to hide ads when users are browsing the internet. In order to verify our results, we visited every website and clicked on the payment links to determine if a working credit card form was loaded, and we visually inspected each site to ensure that the ad networks were actually delivering ads when we loaded the page. Note what they didn't do? They didn't actually read the sites to verify they were hate sites. It continues. We then contacted all the websites and the tech companies and asked them to verify whether our results were correct. In some cases, such as Google Custom Search, the company clarified for us that although some websites were using the technology, none were being paid for its use. If the SPLC and ADL, with their growing list of hate groups, is going to be the arbiter for approved online speech, we have reached a very scary place in this country. It will be the end of the internet as we know it, and America will be no better than totalitarian China and Korea. Follow me on Twitter at @LBilliard.
Into law enforcement nowadays. And it's a nationwide trend. I've talked to sheriffs and police chiefs not only in the state but around the nation, and they're having problems hiring. We got a couple things working against us. Number one is when the economy is turning around, when it's doing well, a lot of people will go into the private sector because yes, you can make more money up front. And then secondly, everybody knows the anti-law enforcement sentiment that's been going on. So a lot of people aren't rushing into this profession. So we have that growth that we're trying to really... Yes?
Yes, I have two questions. Do you believe in free speech and the Constitution on your government-ran Facebook page?
Mr. Sheets, you know why you were banned. We have rules. You did not follow the rules.
All right.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I have an easy question. In Florida, can a consumer buy Narcan at a pharmacy? I know in other parts of the country they've allowed...
I don't think you can yet in Florida, but I believe, if I remember correctly, there is a bill up in Tallahassee right now. So they're trying to get it passed.
Thank you.
So, yes.
Sheriff, why was this citizen banned from your Facebook website? What's that all about?
He didn't follow the rules.
What rules did he break?
They're posted on our Facebook page. You're more than welcome to read it.
You wouldn't be able to
Anybody
share
else?
With us? You wouldn't be able to share with us?
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, my question was not...
I'm talking to her. Yes, ma'am.
I asked you a question. You work for me, sir.
I don't work for you.
Yes,
Ma'am.
you do. Why did you ban this citizen?
Ma'am, what's your
You
question?
can't answer the question, Sheriff?
I think it's been asked and answered.
Why is it, you know, your department is supposed to be keeping the peace, taking care of whatever. It doesn't seem right to me that you also have to take care of those who are mentally ill and those who are drug addicts. Why don't they open up a facility? I mean, you're going to have to hire more staff, and where are you going to put all these people? You said 60% between the...
Yeah.
That doesn't make
That's
sense.
what I'm telling you. That's been the question. Like I said, when the government can't seem to come up with answers, they push it off on us, and then it's up to us to try and figure it out.
Well, that's not right.
Yes, sir.
I noticed this past year, I haven't seen much in the paper about grow houses, as far as finding grow houses and shutting them down. Is that still a problem?
It's decreased a lot, and that's basically because some of the legalization that's been going on in other states. We are seeing a lot of it being imported from these other states. Right now, you know who your biggest trafficker is in drugs? The United States Postal Service.
Just a follow-up question. What about meth? How do you find meth operations?
Just a lot of good investigation. We get some tip work and all that stuff. So.
Especially for building it.
Yeah, they are very explosive. You got to be very careful with them. We do have some people on our staff that are specially trained to take them apart because they are very, very explosive. Ma'am, you had a question?
Oh yeah, to follow up on this immigration situation. If a Hispanic person were in an accident,
Can you speak just a little louder, please? We can really hear
if
you.
a Hispanic person, appearing person, were in an accident, it was clearly not their fault. Are you telling me that there would be no reason then that you would contact ICE?
No, I don't. We don't.
You don't what?
We don't contact ICE on that.
But I'll talk to you after.
Okay. Because remember, right now, we don't have it's the federal government's responsibility, and also they have jurisdiction over immigration. We as local law enforcement do not. So when we take somebody in on a local crime, local charges, we have custody of them and we will notify ICE. But yeah, I'll talk to you afterwards because I don't know what you're talking about.
Sheriff, I'd like to ask you another question.
No, sir. Anybody else?
My family and members of this crowd have went to war defending freedom and the right to
And I thank you for your service. Yes,
We'd
ma'am.
like you to answer the question.
My husband and I are snowbirds, and we're down here 6, 7, 8 months. He's down here, and we're very grateful to have a police station right in Inglewood. Anyway, we're over in Rotunda, on Rotunda Circle, and we noticed last year, I think the speed limits were like 30, and now we came back this year, and I can't remember. Just when they were changed to 35, so now it's 35.
Yeah, that is up to the county. They set the speed limits. We don't. They usually come out and they have their engineers do studies with traffic and speed, and then they determine the proper speed. Because I also notice on Boundary they lowered the speed limit.
To 30.
Yes, that used to be 45.
Over on Caddy Road, not
No, I don't have anything to do that. We don't set it, we just enforce it.
How do we do citizens that
You can reach out. You can reach out to your county commissioner. I don't know if you guys ever have Bill speak to you guys. Yeah, Bill Truex will come and speak to your group. But you can reach out to him individually, or you can invite him to one of these sessions like he did me, and ask him to kind of give you an overview of the county and also voice your concerns. But either way, you can contact his office or.
Because our road is so narrow, and
Yeah.
there are no
There's no sidewalks over there.
There's no place to walk. We do walk on the roads, but I mean, we have to get off sometimes and let the traffic pass and so on.
So I never noticed they raised Rotunda's circle to 35 from 30.
They go 50 and 60 through there. All the other
Okay. Well, I know we've been getting a lot of complaints of speeders over there, and I know Chris has been having his staff out there as much as we can. That's one of the biggest complaints we get countywide is regard to traffic. So.
Who's Chris?
I'm sorry, Lieutenant Williams.
Oh, because Rotunda West, I mean, this has been going on for years. We'll advise you to call the police. So I don't think Truex is involved at all. I mean, give me a story.
Let's find out.
He's not going to.
Well, when it comes to setting the speed limits, that is the county function. I have nothing to do with that. Now, I can make some recommendations to them, but they are going to do their studies and side with what their engineer
No,
says.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we are advised to call the police.
They're speeders, yes.
Well, yeah, with the speeders, you're absolutely right. That's what they're going to say, because that's what we do. We have to enforce that. So, yeah. No, and he will tell you that. Anybody else?
You have a question in the back. What are you afraid of, Sheriff? Why can't you answer all citizens?
All I'm going to ask is about intelligence of policing, that's all.
Here's the venue. American Legion Hall, people died and bled for free speech, and he's trying to restrict
Correct.
it. Please, wake up,
He
people.
answered the question.
He
I
has
didn't like his answer.
No, he works for us. He is supposed to answer all questions.
I'm asking about intelligence policing. What are you using for software and hardware?
Yeah, why don't you be civil, Sheriff, and answer the question? Why did you ban a citizen? Drop it. What are you afraid of, Sheriff?
Follow the directions, I'll say.
Who's got your tongue?
Intelligence policing, what are you using for software and hardware? That's all I'm asking.
We've got a lot of different
No, I'm
programs.
having it right here in this public meeting.
That's all I'm asking.
Try to force me
That's
out.
all I'm asking.
This is rude. You and he together is rude.
Yeah, and you're all on video.
This is supposed to be
denying
America.
Free speech.
So soon.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
We thank you. I'm Al Becker, President of Neighborhood Watch. I appreciate you all coming. I'm sure that some of you might have some additional questions. The sheriff might be around for a few minutes afterwards, but there are some refreshments in the back, and stay around and enjoy the refreshments. And thank you all for coming.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. American
You should be
Legion.
ashamed of yourself.
Please do.
I'm not going to tell you.
No free speech.
The agenda is free speech. Transparency in government. If a government official won't answer a question, why they banned a citizen, something's wrong.
You have a definite agenda.
You got oh, free speech.
That's not it.
Freedom.
That is not it.
Freedom. Have you ever heard of freedom?
I understand freedom. What's the freedom about?
This gentleman over here has been banned from posting on the Facebook page of Charlotte County Government Sheriff's Department.
Is he in violation of the rules?
I wanted to know. The sheriff refused to answer.
It's
That was the question. Well, why wouldn't he answer the question? What's so difficult about the question?
What did you do on Facebook? What's the agenda? What is the problem?
We're in American Legion Hall. These men have died and bled for free speech.
I mean,
you
you obviously
people trampled on.
Did you even serve? You don't look like a couple of jerks. There's nothing better to do with their time.
Hey, Sheriff, we have a question about why your office, your intelligence division, is investigating private citizens for criminal investigation that happen to be activists that are overseeing your department. Why would you have your intelligence division investigate private citizens? We have done...
For life hating so much.
Sir, we don't hate anyone. We love freedom and we love American people. And government is out of control. That's why you're seeing such a revolt nationwide. Why can't you just answer, why is Susan Edwards, your intelligence division, investigating private citizens? This should not happen.
Are you here to apply for a job?
Possibly I might be applying for a job, but that's irrelevant to my question. Why would you ask that question?
Well, enjoy the fair.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Excuse you?
Excuse me, sir.
So those of you that haven't been on a bike before, we're
Sheriff's getting a little too pushy. You work for us, Sheriff. Just keep that in mind. At one time we respected you, but not with that type of attitude.
Hey Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County COPWATCH with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if some, if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave a, let's say, actually, yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But you know, do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, you know, at least I can do it. You know, 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit. I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, you know, if I got, you know, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here, and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. You know, 47,000 of you so far right now. You know, $1 a day. I mean, $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head. Help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.